Before we get started, I want to give a definition for what a real man is. Simply stated, a real man is a matured man, one who has moved past the stages of boyhood. Now, there are plenty of adult males who are portraying themselves as real men. And oftentimes, people get confused. We can see one and see the other and think they're one and the same. We see a beard, we see muscles, we see money or some sort of career and lifestyle, and we think to ourselves that must be a real man, when in truth, they do not have the intrinsic, the inner qualities that make for a real man. A real man is one who is more focused on the internal attributes. They are focused on a high character. They're not focused on reputation or what they're perceived to be, but their true character, being the same through and through, whether it's behind closed doors or in front of the public. They are one who is fixated on integrity. They care to have their word align with their action. They are honest. They are loyal. They are faithful to their word. They are honest in their work. They are hardworking and diligent in their work. They are devoted to the things that they give themselves over to, whether that is the mission of their life or it is their family. They are given over to it. They're not one who abandons just because something is hard, but instead they step into it. Now, this definition may sound like something that doesn't exist, like a Yeti or a Loch Ness monster, but I assure you that there are plenty. It might not be the majority, but there are plenty of real men. The only problem is the mass media does not push this narrative. They do not want this man being the one who is represented. As a matter of fact, they want anything besides this man being shown to you. They want you falling into their own manufactured version. They want you to buy into the one that they have already sold. That's a bar. Let me repeat that. They want you buying into the manufactured version of what they have sold you. So the one who's wearing the Gucci, the Hermes, the this, the that, the pretty boy, the one who is so fixated on material things, they want you believing that that is a man in order for you to be pursuing that individual. So that becomes the one who seems the most valuable in society. There's an agenda behind this. This ain't no conspiracy. This is facts. You can see it all around you. Why is it that, good men and good women are not the ones celebrated? Virtuous men and virtuous women are not the ones celebrated. It's because there is an agenda. When an individual has self-respect, when they know who they are, when there's a certain level of integrity within an individual, you can't sell them on the BS. And so as we get into this criteria list of what a real man is truly looking for, what that matured and grown man is looking for, I just want to make sure that we have that context to begin with. So a real man is a simple man, very simple, and he only desires a few things in this life. The first on that list is peace. Now, this is something that I could equate to anybody. All of us at some level desire peace, but it does not necessarily mean that all people are agents of peace. There are many people, most people who are agents of chaos, agents of destruction. There are those who perpetuate their own inner dysfunction and they express it or they project it onto others. A real man or a matured man is one who has matured into adulthood in a healthy, functional way. So this is an individual who not only values peace, but creates peace within their own life. And so if you're somebody who is stepping into their frame, you're stepping into their world that they're looking to build around their family, they make sure to prioritize peace. If all you gave to a man was peace, I promise you that man would give you everything you want in return. Peace is golden. Peace is valuable. Peace cannot be traded in. And when you can create an atmosphere of peace, that peace will multiply continuously. Now, again, this is simply because he's not going to feed into arguments. He's not looking to fight. He knows that you're on the same team. He's looking for conflict resolution as opposed to creating conflict. Y'all might be hearing this and thinking, where does this man exist? I promise you they're out here. It's just that you've not been socially engineered to recognize. Most of your upbringing, you probably weren't, maybe you didn't have. I'm not going to say you weren't because I don't know your specific life. Maybe you were raised around a man who was like this, but unfortunately, many were not, right? Many did not have an example of what that looked like. And so you probably went out into life and found what you knew. You found the familiar. You found yourself perpetually in these argumentative type of relationships, and you thought that was normal, when in truth, there was nothing normal or even, cohesive or functional about it. So sometimes you may step into that dynamic and think, oh, there's a lack of passion, they don't care, whatever it may be, when in truth, it's actually just peace and you're just not used to it. So the first thing on my list is peace. If you give that man peace, he will give you peace multiplied 10, 100x, right? He'll give you 1,000 reasons to be peaceful. He will always want and desire your company. It's really that simple. A peaceful woman will get all that man's company. That's why sometimes, and I don't justify infidelity ever, and I believe it is a lack of character, a lack of integrity. But when somebody steps out in that way who seem to not be that type of person, is usually because they were just looking for somewhere they could find that level of peace instead of being, berated to death. So that's number one. Number two is they are looking for respect. Now, this one is an interesting one because when most people hear, oh, I want respect, they automatically get offended. Why should I respect you when they want self-respect first? That's what they're looking for. When they're seeing you, they are seeing, does she value herself? Does she respect herself? I'm not saying does she get to the bag. None of that shit matters. It means nothing, right? We're not talking about what you're doing externally and all these other material things. No, I'm talking about how does she move through life? Does she value herself? Because there's a level of trust that comes to a man knowing that he is with a woman that values herself. You understand me? When I know that I can trust you in any atmosphere, any room, no matter what, you're going to stand in integrity. You're not going to falter. It's the same thing. If you see a dude who is, easily swayed and easily flattered and, and will just go for anything, doesn't have any level of respect, will be treated any type of way because this is their boss or because this is their best friend or whatever it is, that's a person who stands for nothing, so they will fall for anything. They do not respect, they do not value themselves. So a man is always looking, a real man, a mature man. And man, I just have to call it a man, really, because the other version is not a man. They have not matured into manhood. A man is looking for these intrinsic qualities, characteristics, and attributes, such as, do you respect yourself? If I can see that you move through life in a way in which you value yourself, and yes, that means the way in which you present yourself to the world. Yes. That we want to call it judgment, we want to call it this, that, and a third, but any man who values you does not want you going out into the world and being seen as an object. The man who doesn't care if you got, two strings in between, your tatas and a string going in between the crack, the man who doesn't care about that is not the uninsecure or the man who is secure in his masculinity. No, that's a man who doesn't give a damn about you. That's a man who sees you as just a piece of meat or has no value for you. He's not willing to protect you. That's straight up. Because a man would do that for his daughter. So why would he not do it for a woman that he loves? Like his wife. He's going to see you and think, this is somebody who I want to be presented in the best way. I want to be valued in the same way that I value her. And so it's not just, again, in the physical, but that is one way that is represented. I see all the time when couples are having all these problems, and I'm like, well, you know what? Your man is actually, he might be afraid to speak up or to say something, but if I was in a relationship with somebody who was, posting pictures of the behind to the public and things of that nature, call it what you want and call me what you want, but there seems to be a lack of self-respect. Therefore, they can't be respect for the relationship itself, right? It's like if I'm posting shirtless pics and stuff like that, that's a sign of insecurity, straight up. Yeah, that's going to be a piece of free game right there. The man who has to post the man who has to post shirtless pictures, that's bait he's putting out. Thirst traps, as we used to call them. That's nothing more than insecurity. That's nothing more than looking for validation, a certain type of attention. And that's a direct indicator of what that person is truly about. So if you're that dude and you hear this right now, then, be offended. If you're that chick who's posting those booty pics or whatever it is, then, you can be offended all you want. These are the facts. These are the facts. So peace and self-respect. And one last one, and these aren't everything, but these will basically cover all the bases for us, right? These will cover every single aspect of a person's character. The last thing that man desires is your support. It is incredible to me how many couples exist in this dynamic where it's almost like they're living on islands, right? I remember this. There was older couple. What does that really mean? Middle-aged couple. And I befriended them, became real cool. And I'm talking to the husband one day, and he's telling me, oh, his wife works at such and such company. I was like, oh, what'd she do there? Because it was actually a company that creates a product that I use on a daily basis, an editing tool. I'm just going to leave it at that. Oh, what does she do? I asked him. And he's like, you know what? I actually don't really know. And I thought to myself, okay, that's interesting. I said, oh. And he's like, yeah, she doesn't really know what I do either. And I was like, wait, how long you guys been married? He's like, 20-some years. And I'm like, wait, what? You guys have been married 20-something years and don't know what each other does. Now, I'm not saying you have to be like the most gung-ho and pretend to love whatever it is that they're doing. But the simple fact that that aspect is not there is such a huge deficit in a relationship, especially when you have a man who is actually ambitious, who's going after something, right? Who's looking to build a life for you and your family, who is going out there and slaying dragons and coming home and slaying dragons. Like that type of individual, a little bit of support goes the longest way. A man will remember a compliment that you gave him 20 years from now. That's how we're wired. We'll remember that one thing you might have said 20 years back. And it's unfortunate, but this happens to be reality in most cases is, sometimes it's easy to forget that, men desire that too. It's not to say it should make or break him, but, men are the least complimented. They're the least affirmed in such a way. And so when you are a supportive partner and that they know that they have your support, like my girl, I'm telling you right now, she gets everything in the world. And I'm not even talking about just material things. All of me, all my time, my love, they can't get all my time and attention because I got to go out and do what I got to do. But, when I'm with her, my presence is undevoted. My presence is completely and absolutely given. Why? Simple. Because I know that she's standing with me, period. She's with me. She's not trying to pull me from my mission, but she's edifying and adding to it and understand that this is going to be a benefit to her. And for some of y'all who may be afraid of, well, if I egg him on to do more of that, I'm going to have less of him, less time with them. I promise you, if you do not let that man go fully into his purpose, into his mission, you are going to get lesser of a man. And you probably already have had that experience where you get fragments of a man instead of the whole man because he's not living in his purpose. And a woman who cares about her man will oftentimes look to egg him on to get him to pursue greater things and to step into his mission. That's why more often than not, the most successful men are those who are married, those who are in committed relationships. When you do it as an average, because there's a foundation, there's someone who is, again, constantly fueling that fire. It's not to say that you shouldn't have that intrinsic drive within. It can only start within. But to have somebody who throws those embers onto that fire is irreplaceable. Like I told y'all, a man is simple. I didn't mention lashes. I didn't mention a BBL. I didn't mention all that other stuff, right? And, when it comes to the bedroom activities, obviously, yes, that's, a factor. But that's going to come as a byproduct of the relationship dynamic itself. If there is respect and mutual respect, then there is love. Love not as infatuation or not as lust, but as genuine affection and admiration, and I want the best for you, you want the best for me. That depth of love, which comes from an individual first having those attributes within themselves, is going to manifest in the relationship. It's going to show up in the relationship. I do my best for me, she does her best for her, and we show up and we're able to give that to one another. And so these are the things that a real man is valuing. I could, again, create a laundry list, but these will encapsulate the things that are so vital. And if these three things came in, everything else that you could ever imagine will fall into place. Now, I understand that you can't fake these and you can't pretend these. You have to be a certain type of individual. You have to have a certain type of, of mentality. If you're the type of person who says, I don't care what that man wants, you're not even ready for this conversation. This ain't even for you. I maybe should have even said that as a precursor in the beginning of this video. You're not ready for that type of relationship if you are still so ego-driven, you're so fear-based that you're still, oh, I don't need no man. If you're in that mentality, I'm not even having a conversation with you. I'm talking to those who are at least in the ballpark. Those who are at least willing to step into, onto the field here to play this game of, okay, I'm going to show up in the best way I can for this individual who is inherently showing up the best way they can. A real man doesn't know anything besides giving his best. He doesn't know anything besides committing to what he's committed to. And again, there are real men, plenty of men who are this. They all look different. They all move differently, but their value systems are aligned. And you have to be aligned with those value systems. You have to have the same values in order to even see this man. If you're still fixated on the material, if you're still fixated on, again, an aesthetic or the story that was sold to you, if you're still dating by committee based upon what your friends or what your community or whoever tells you to and what you should be looking for, you will miss out on this man every single time. In the same way, a good woman will be missed out on, if there is not that shift in consciousness of what actually matters, what is actually valuable. So that's my 2 cents for right now. Let me know if you guys want a second part to this or a deeper dive into any of the subject matter. I'll get into it. Till the next time, peace.
I don't chase the bag, no, I don't chase it at all. Yeah, I'm the type to manifest about as quick as withdrawals. You see my life in ATM, see all the hundreds involved. Feel like a magnet in my stack and want my energy charged. I don't chase the bag, no, I don't chase it at all. I swear my life feel like abundance, got infinity card. I'm seeing 20s, 50s, 100s, swear this life like an art. A young Picasso, I bring it in the image to dawn. I don't chase the bag, I don't chase the bag, nah. I attract the bag, yeah. I don't chase the bag, I don't chase the bag, nah.